Wow, I see Eric Jones has already liked this video. The NASCAR Championship at Phoenix Raceway has lost its luster with the hardcore fan. Their response has been loud, "We want Homestead back," but that is not enough. NASCAR fans need to look at what the Palestinians did to bring about positive change. Trust me, interpretive dance resolves all conflicts and melts the hearts of even the greediest, most power-hungry individuals. At least that's what movies have convinced me. But maybe when choosing our apparel, we should get out our black dresses and high heels and instead dance for Darlington. The Lady in Black has a long history with professional auto racing, so in the year 2024, maybe it's finally time to consider letting her have her dance with the Bill France Cup. Darlington's most compelling argument for hosting the NASCAR Championship race is easily the racing. This track has always been a fan favorite, but in the 2020s, this place has had a mini renaissance. The start of it can be traced back to the 2020 Real Heroes 400 when Darlington was the torchbearer to lead NASCAR out of its 2-month COVID hiatus. Some of the best races and most memorable moments of 2020 were at Darlington. That was a monumental momentum builder for a racetrack that had lost its date and all the revenue that comes with hosting a NASCAR Cup race. Fortunately, in 2021, NASCAR granted them back their coveted second 400-mile spring race. It doesn't matter if it's Generation 6 or the next generation car, Darlington Raceway is circled on every diehard's calendar. Darlington Raceway right now is in the conversation for what is the best, most entertaining track on the entire schedule. And the stats can back it up, as in the 2020s, a Darlington race has yet to score below a 70% on Jeff Gluck's Was It a Good Race poll. NASCAR fans love to consume NASCAR races as much as Nikocado Avocado loves to consume his food. It's just too bad that nobody outside of the cute little NASCAR niche knows about the great track of Darlington Raceway. In this current television deal that spanned the last 10 years, only 3 Darlington Cup races have been on Fox or NBC. If we move the NASCAR Championship to Darlington, it would force NBC to stop treating this track like dog water and give it the mainstream attention it deserves. Plus, this is NASCAR's ticket to restoring the Southern 500 back to its former glory. The 3 biggest, most prestigious races in NASCAR right now are as follows: the Daytona 500, the Coca-Cola 600, and the NASCAR Championship. And no, I'm not a Darth. Theoretically, I would love to put the Southern 500 as third. It's a fantastic race and atmosphere, but nobody's watching it. Despite NASCAR doing the right thing and putting this race back on Labor Day weekend, last year's Southern 500 had less television viewership than the spring race. Basically, NBC would rather draw 25 than put a crown jewel event for America's #1 motorsport on NBC for Labor Day's Eve. So if we can't eat our barbecue and watch the Southern 500 on the cable-only TV in the backyard, why not just make it the championship? Everyone criticizes the championship race viewership, but last year it was still watched on average by 3 million people, slightly above NASCAR's Mendoza line for TV viewership, although I do understand the argument. This is your championship race, and this event is nowhere close to being NASCAR's Super Bowl, because year after year after year, NASCAR viewership typically takes a nosedive in the fall. The novelty and the excitement of the brand new auto racing season wears off the minute your favorite college or NFL team takes the field for week 1. Unless, of course, you believe that caw-caw is the law like myself, where in some cases, like 2023, you get a 2-for-1. You get week 1 football and the Daytona 500 on the same day. So let's say that you make the Southern 500 the championship race. Diehards are still going to have that crown jewel to look forward to in November rather than just a random race at Phoenix to decide your champion. Sure, you might still prioritize your Georgia Bulldogs or Dallas Cowboys, but at least you don't tune out completely with the anticipation that one of NASCAR's biggest events is on the horizon. A Southern 500 championship gives NASCAR the best opportunity to keep fans interested and to compete, or at least try to compete, with Roger Goodell in the NFL. One of the major draws of the NFL season is that it ends with the biggest game, and that's, of course, the Super Bowl. And typically, whenever the Lombardi Trophy goes up into the air, you desperately want to watch more football. Compare that to the feeling when the Bill France Cup is lifted over the NASCAR champion's head. There are some exceptions, but most NASCAR fans are like, finally, it's been 9 months, it's time to get a little bit of breather from weekly racing. NASCAR right now is the sports league that struggles with fan retention in the off-season the most, and yet they need it the most. Because we all know race 1 is typically NASCAR's biggest race of the season. I believe that Darlington and the Southern 500 at the end of the year could be that moment creator. This could be the race that makes diehards and casuals longing for the start of the Daytona 500 in mid-November. Speaking of mid-November, let's talk about the weather, because this is a main neutral point in this debate. The 2004 running was run in November to an average temperature in the 40s with moderate wind chill. Darlington historically has decent weather in this time of year, and let's say that there is a bit of cold weather. Look at Martinsville. They've had some bad temperatures for their playoff race, and yet it still sells out. I do not believe that fans are going to skip out on the Southern 500 because it's in November. However, at the same time, the climate in South Carolina is no Las Vegas or Phoenix. You massively increase the risk of weather messing with your championship race, in addition to potentially the team owners. The 2022 NASCAR championship race was a black eye to many hardcore fans. Ryan Blaney clearly had the faster car, and he wanted to win this race. Yeah, you can say he won the All-Star race twice, but in terms of a non-points event, Ryan Blaney had a goose egg on the year. Allegedly, Roger Penske prevented that by wielding team owners over his driver. To Roger, the risk of jeopardizing a Penske championship for a race win is just not worth the risk. However, if this is the Southern 500, Ryan Blaney is racing to win one of NASCAR's crown jewels. In theory, if you get a situation like Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney again, both are now racing for something that's important to their legacies. However, this might depend more on the team owner, as this could either increase the stakes when a championship and non-championship driver for the same team are racing against each other, or maybe a Rick Hendrick or Roger Penske doesn't budge, and instead a driver could be going into the Southern 500 knowing that he can't win this race. He has to instead be a good teammate and not get in the way of the championship. As for the cons, it's rather simple. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is something that Speedway Motorsports still doesn't understand. In 2004, NASCAR tried to fix Darlington, which led to the track's dark ages where it lost revenue and it looked like it was fizzling out as a racetrack. Why put the championship in a market that already supports NASCAR when you can strengthen existing markets? You have Phoenix right now. It's a competitive, cutthroat sports town, although the Coyotes have left, so there's more of a void that NASCAR can fill. Also, you have the Homestead Miami Speedway, which has seen its glory era reach its end, a similar experience the Miami Heat had to go through when LeBron James went back home. These are markets that need NASCAR's more attention and need that prestige of a championship race over Darlington. You look at the Southern 500, it has sold out the last few years, and the South is as in love with NASCAR as ever. There are no glaring issues with Darlington's place in the NASCAR schedule, so again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Plus, another thing that fans might not like about this is that Darlington is a single groove racetrack. The challenge of racing at Darlington Raceway is that you're racing the track and not necessarily the competitors. So now you throw in that you have the NASCAR Championship here where you're racing other drivers, it might seem a bit off. You're not going to have the opportunities to run different lines like at Vegas, Phoenix, or Homestead. which maybe leads to some frustrated drivers thinking, man, if only I had a couple other grooves. I tried to get past this guy, but it just didn't work out. So as I make my final twirl on stage before the music stops, let me just point out how radical NASCAR has been with its schedules. We've run a race in a football stadium, put dirt on Bristol, and made Atlanta a super speedway. Heck, we've even shook up a decades-long tradition for the sake of making the playoffs and championship more compelling. I'm gonna be honest, if the France family decides to make the Southern 500 the championship, they shouldn't be locked into an asylum. Yeah, there are risks like breaking traditions, which you've already done, and having Darlington residents storm NASCAR's office buildings like it's January 6th. However, the potential rewards it could reap makes it honestly at least worth a try. NASCAR, when making future Cup Series schedules, should absolutely consider Darlington to host the season-ending championship race. Enjoy that? Well, here's some other great videos from Fuel Cell Full that should be as enjoyable as this one. Other than that, this is Nathan for Digital Gas House. Life's a beach, and then you drive.